We all love 5 stars, but they cost a lot of resources to build, and there's a lot of really great natural 3 and 4 star units in the game. Some of them that even outperform Nat 5s. I'm going to cover the best 3 and 4 star monsters for every dungeon. Let's go. This video is mainly aimed at our new audience across the globe, but also new players here on the North American servers. I will mostly be focusing on 3 and 4 star monsters, but I will be offering some 5 star alternatives as well. If you have any questions as we go, leave a comment or join the Discord, link is down below. The reason you're going to hear a lot of people suggest 3 and 4 star monsters at the beginning of the game is because they are extremely cheap to build. While 5 stars are extremely fun, I know they are extremely expensive to build. So many new players put all of their materials into their 5 star monsters and then get stuck at different places because they've run out of materials. This is why most veteran players are going to suggest that you build these 3 and 4 star monsters first before you start building 5 star monsters. Okay, so get ready to hear about the same couple of monsters over and over again because they are extremely good and can be used in almost every situation. Shannon and Konamiya. These two 3 stars are your bread and butter moving forward. Build Konamiya with high HP. Don't worry about any other substats right now, but defense percent, evasion, and resistance are all good for her. Shannon is a similar build, except you want to focus your substats on accuracy, as her debuff skills are very important. Okay, with those two out of the way, the rest of the 3 stars I will recommend can easily be swapped out with other monsters, so while the monsters I do suggest are not mandatory, they are generally accepted as the best 3 and 4 star monsters for each dungeon. Alright, let's get into the path of growth. Most of your time will be spent farming these dungeons. Let's start with the path of training. For all of these dungeons, you can use your Shannon and Konamiya, then a DPS of your choice. Azalea is an amazing starter DPS for most content. You could even use another support or night monster if you want, but your runs might be a little bit slower. To be honest, you really don't need a lot of help with this entire set of dungeons. All the way up to level 15, these are easy. Quick tip. Notice there is an element advantage system in this game. In this case, the boss is wind, and I switched to my fire weapon in order to counter that element. Notice the blue numbers with the up arrow, that's giving me more combat power, which hopefully is going to put me into a bonus against the boss, which is going to make sure that I do more damage and take less damage from that particular boss. The exact opposite applies when you're under a penalty. You will take more damage, significantly more damage from the boss and monsters inside of that dungeon, so it makes it extremely difficult to clear that dungeon. This element advantage also applies to the monsters that you bring into the dungeon, so keep that in mind when you're building your teams. To switch weapons, click on your summoner portrait, head over to the weapon you want to switch to, and hold down for a couple seconds. Your weapon will switch and you will now have the advantage. Alright, the subjugation ones over here on the right hand side. This set of dungeons is also quite easy. The exact same advice I gave for the path of training applies here as well. Shannon and Konamiya and another monster or even a 5 star that you've started to build. Alright, the rune dungeons, path of adventure. This is where it gets kind of hard. We'll start with the Spider Queen. This is probably your most important dungeon as it is your main source of energy runes which are needed by most of your support units. There are 2 types of teams, a speed team and a slow team. The speed team will use Helia, and if you don't have a Helia yet, use your 3 star selector ticket on Helia. Forget Tion, Kona is way better than Tion. Build your Helia with damage and accuracy. Bring Konamiya for healing, and Naomi for more damage. If you're an Orbia main, you'll want to go for the speed team. If you're a Cleef or a Kina main, you could probably get away with the speed team in some of the lower dungeons, but it might start to get a little bit difficult as you go up to level 15. For those higher level dungeons, I would suggest bringing Shushu, the Light Howl. You can get them from farming the secret dungeon after you complete Act 4 of the story mode. Shushu cleanses the poison and applies immunity, which stops you from getting more poison. Go watch my Shushu video here. With Shushu for healing, bring Shannon for all of the buffs, and Naomi is still a fine damage dealer. Alright, the Rhodes rune dungeon. This is where you will primarily get your guard runes, which are very important for building many monsters that are defense scaling. Konamiya and Shannon and Azalea will get you up to about floor 12 and 13, possibly even beyond if they're runed well, but that might not be enough for the higher floors. Azalea is an excellent DPS here because her second skill removes attack up, which the boss gets a lot of, and her third skill removes defense up, which the boss also gets a lot of. Bastet is actually an excellent monster here if you get her from the selective summons or from the upcoming Bastet event, or even from your free 5-star selector ticket. Floor 15 is quite hard, but Rigel is the key 4-star unit here. No unit is better for this dungeon. For a final free-to-play team composition level 15, I would suggest Konamiya, Shannon or Bastet, and Rigel. This team should work very well for you. Rigel, the 4-star water unit, carries in this dungeon. Alright, to the tier Glands cave with Tallades. This is the second most important rune dungeon in my opinion. You will farm this dungeon a lot as this is where you get your damage runes, Blade and Rage. Your key 3-4-star units here are Shannon, Chloe, and Azalea. Chloe is the key. Keep her in the Soul Link spot, this is the first spot here, and use her second skill as the boss is jumping. This skill applies invincibility to your team and negates all the damage from the boss. Chloe is a cheat code for this boss. Build her with high HP with tanky substats like more HP percent, defense, and evasion. The reason people fail this is because they let their units get too low on HP, and the boss has a one-shot mechanic that will attack those low health monsters. Water Shoerekly, easily one of the hardest boss types in the game, but doesn't really even give great runes. For this boss you will probably have to manual level 15 for a while, but bring in Konamiya, Shannon, and the Wind Witch, Cilia. Soul Link Konamiya to keep those heals up, build Cilia as a damage dealer with lots of attack but also accuracy substats. Honestly, once you beat it once, most of us haven't done it since. Borbo, the Lava Cave. This boss is unique as they don't take as much damage from summoner and monster skills. So you will be relying heavily on monsters with high attack speed and landing lots of basic attacks. 3 and 4-star units to use here are Shannon and Konamiya. The secret dungeon monster Shushu is an amazing healer here as he applies immunity which stops you from getting the defense breaks, brand, and other debuffs from the boss. For damage, look to a couple free units, Lyn and Ellen, as they will both do damage based off the boss's HP, and that also applies to their basic attacks. A lot of people also really like to bring the Fire Raven. Now I'm not sure if he's out yet on your servers, but he will end up being a free monster in the monster story very shortly. Okay, let's hop over to another important set of dungeons, the Expedition Dungeons. Every month or two there's going to be a special expedition which is really important to farm every single day, but this special expedition is going to be rotating between these different types that you see here. For the North American servers, it started out with the Light Shoerekly as the special expedition, and currently it's the Wind Arachne. I'm guessing here in the near future it'll be the next one. Alright, let's start with the Light Shoerekly. This boss requires a fire support and an archer unit. Chloe for the fire support, and Konamiya as a second healer. And to meet the archer requirement, bring Cassie, Lyn, or Mara if you have her. 5-star substitutes would be maybe Theomars if you got them. Alright, the Wind Arachne dungeon. Shushu is a definite must for healing, cleansing poison, and putting up immunity. Bulldozer to meet the fire warrior requirements, and Helia for defense breaks and brand. A lot of people also like to run Igmanodon, which is a monster that you actually get for free, and you get resources to build them as well. Also, if you don't have your Shushu quite yet, you can also use Chloe as your healer and supporter. Shannon is okay here, but her defense down only works when there's a single target, so as soon as the boss starts spawning baby spiders, Shannon will no longer be applying that defense down. That doesn't make her useless, it just doesn't make her as good as she would be in other situations. Alright, Fire Tallades. There's not really a lot of great 3-star water support units, but Lulu is your best 4-star option, and you will also need Lulu down the road for the Dark Vivachel monster story. Or, depending on who you choose in your selective summons or what monster events or banners are present in your region, you can use Bastet, Wusa, or Annabelle. Next, bring Helia and Lyn, or Ellen if you built her already. Alright, next up, Water Rhodes. This one's actually pretty tough. For the Wind Knight requirement, you've got Rakajah, the 3-star, Mav or Benar as 4 stars. For the rest of the team, bring Shannon and Naomi. If you chose Argan in your selective summon, you can probably use them over Naomi, but a fully skilled Naomi will be so much better than an unskilled Argan. Alright, Dark Borbo. This boss requires a Mage and a Wind Knight. For the Mage free-to-play requirement, use Azalea. If you've summoned a Sekhmet or even a Brandia, you can use one of them as well. For Wind Knight, use Rakajah or Bernard. And the last slot could go to Shannon, Helia, or Bastet if you chose Bastet. Alright, let's head over to the Cairos dungeons. These are not particularly hard, but there are a couple tricky ones. For the normal Hall of Magic, I'm going to make it easy for you. Helia is going to be in a lot of these, especially because you want these to be fast speed teams as much as possible. Nobody wants to sit here and manual this for the next couple months. For your free-to-play team, go Helia, Shannon, and a DPS of your choice. For Hall of Fire, go Helia, Shannon, and Azalea. Hall of Water is a little bit tricky because the more damage you do, the more damage is reflected back to you. So typically people will go a little bit slower compositions with this, bringing in Shannon, Konamiya, and a DPS monster like Lyn or Naomi. The Hall of Wind is a little bit tricky as the boss applies invincibility to itself every now and then. Some really good monsters to remove that invincibility would be Ramahan. A lot of you pulled on the Sekhmet banner, so if you have your Sekhmet, she's also extremely good here as she removes and steals that buff. Other monsters that can be part of this team would be Chloe and Shannon. Hall of Light is nothing too crazy. I would just go with Helia, Shannon, and Azalea. Again, with the last Hall of Dark Cairos dungeon, you can just run Helia, Shannon, and Azalea, or if your teams are dying, you can throw in the Konamiya instead of the Helia. To wrap things up, I want to talk about these 3-star, 4-star, and 5-star selector tickets that you guys are probably getting. The 3-star Light and Dark selector ticket should definitely go to Helia. The 4-star selector ticket is something you might want to save for a little while. You're going to want to get one of these 3 4-star monsters, and that's Lulu, Naomi, or Chloe. Now you only have one ticket, so you really need all 3 of them. So try to summon your mystical scrolls quite a bit, either on a banner or just regularly, and try to get those 3 monsters. Let's say that you get a Lulu and a Chloe, excellent. Use that 4-star ticket on Naomi. Just don't use that ticket too hastily, you really need all 3 of those monsters. For the 5-star selector ticket, you have 3 choices at the pre-registration shopkeeper. You've got Vanessa, you've got Bastet, and you've got Chasun. All of these monsters are very good. Obviously, we've talked a lot about Bastet, but you also are going to be getting her in an event very soon. Vanessa was extremely good, but she got hit very hard by the Revive nerf. Chasun is an underrated pick and a really great healer, so both are very good. Go and read their skills, figure out what's going to fit best in your team, and just pick that one. No regrets. Alright guys, that about wraps it up. If you have any more questions or just want to build teams for dungeons, check out the Discord link down below. Otherwise, you can leave a comment and I'll do my best to respond ASAP. If my videos are helping, leave a like, and if you think I deserved it, then consider subscribing. I appreciate you guys and all the love in the comments and in live chat. By the way, I do stream live once a week, sometimes twice. Make sure to hit that bell notification so that we can hang out live on stream. That's all for me. I'm TopherSmurf telling you to keep on gaming.